Hi, y'all. It's good to see you again. Katie Harris sends her love. She's in Australia right now on her vacation. So I went to Oklahoma for my vacation. She went to Australia. My mom is turning 80, and my whole family's coming out to celebrate her on Friday. So we were like, we want to go hang out with our friends in Ardmore for church on Sunday. So that's why we came. My husband's actually going to be sharing a word with y'all because he's a father and it's Father's Day. So I'm just gonna. One of the things, his name's Michael, and we both work at Bethel. I'm a pastor at Bethel, and he'll tell you what he does. But he just carries such a word for the father's heart, and just in the 24 years of pastoring and taking care of people, he's really just seen such healing that people have father wounds through the ministry that he carries. So we just really felt like it was him that was to share with y'all, and then we'll do some ministry afterwards. So I'm going to let him kind of introduce himself and all that. So there you go.
Thanks, babe. I kind of like her. She's pretty and anointed and intelligent and all the things. So like she said, my name is Michael. I was born in Southern California. I grew up in a little town called Soper, Oklahoma. It's a good old Soper, 2 hours from here, about, unless you're driving fast, in an hour and a half, maybe. Went to school a couple years at Southeastern Oklahoma State University. Learned a lot about who I was in Atoka, Oklahoma. I love this area. Been to Ardmore on vacation because, it's a bigger city than Soper. It has more than 2 stop signs, so, it's a big city. But the, sorry. My wife and Pastor Jeremy were both like, just do whatever you want to do. My wife kept saying, go for it. So I'm going to go for it. I do have a word, but I want to share a little bit too, some other words. John. During worship, I know him, so I'm not getting not a word of knowledge for his name. I know who he is. But I saw you standing overlooking a field, and you were at the gate, and the gate was locked, had a chain on it, had a lock on it, and you're standing there. I don't even know if you do this, but you had straw in your mouth, and you had your foot propped up on a gate, and I saw a young man that was beside you, and to me immediately it was like, oh, it's a son. But I actually think it was Jesus. And you were standing up there just looking out, kind of dreaming. And the reason why I think it was Jesus was the young man said, how about we go in? And you said, it's locked, I can't. It wouldn't be right. And the boy was like, let's just try. And you went over there and you just looked at the lock. You picked it up in your hand, you looked at it, and it unlocked in your hand. And you're like, what's going on? And so you just take the chain off, and you're like, well, if it'll unlock for me, I can go in. I feel like there's promises God has given you. And the season has been deferred where you're like, it's not yet, or I am not the right person yet, or I haven't become this, or I haven't become that. And Jesus is like, just try. What's the worst that's going to happen? The gate's still going to be locked, but you tried. I feel like there's some dreams that you have and some words that you have been given that you just haven't stepped into yet. You're like, I know God said it. He's not a liar. I feel like it's pretty soon for you just to step into it. Because you're an incredible man of God. You're an there we go, just do it. You're an incredible man. So Father, would you just continue to breathe life on John? Would you unlock these gates that he can step into the promises that you've made him, that he's been faithful to and he's been holding on to? In Jesus' name. And I don't know your names. I don't have the word of knowledge. But you 3 ladies right there, I just kept looking over at you at worship, and I know you saw me a couple times looking. as a father, I'm proud of you. You guys have been through a lot. I don't know. I don't have any words about what it is. You've been through a lot. I'm proud of you. Publicly, I know you don't know me, and I'm going to go back to California in a few days after spending a week in Oklahoma. I'm proud of you. Thank you for not quitting in the midst of hard. Thank you for not giving up. It would have been really easy to give up. And there's probably the thoughts of no one would even care. No one would even know. And I'm not just talking about, I'm just going to be honest, not just talking about suicide, but there's also times where you can just not show up because you don't think you matter. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for saying yes to the hard. Thank you. I like this church, yeah. For so at Bethel in Redding, where we work at, told this, and it's absolutely true. If you stand still long enough at Bethel, you're going to get a prophetic word. Somebody's going to come up and share a prophetic word with you. And I swear it's probably 6 years where the only prophetic words that I got were, "You're a father." And I'm like, no duh, my kids are right here. My 14-year-old's sleeping sometimes. We had 5 hours sleep last night, so I totally understand. My other two are in children's church. But for a long time, all I got was, "You're a father, you're a father, you're a father." And I'm like, okay. I actually got really mad at it. I'm like, no duh. But there's actually something more to being a father than just having kids. And really, it's only been the last year and a half. I'm not the perfect father. I'm not the perfect dad. I get angry. My boys get on my nerves. When you're raising leaders, they don't really like to do what you want just because you said so. The whole "because I said so" doesn't work really well. When they're like, "But I have a brain too." I'm not the perfect father, but it's beautiful to step into part of that identity as being a father. And so that's really kind of where I'm coming from, is as a father. Like, I know Pastor Jeremy is not my spiritual son. No, you guys have never met me, but most of you have never met me before, but I'm coming as a father. I just want to speak to you from that standpoint. And my friend Marissa drove up from Dallas because she saw us coming here, so thank you for being here, Marissa. It means a lot to me that we haven't seen each other in years. It means a lot to me that you would drive up here and sit in the back just to come say hi at the end of the service. Thank you for that. That means a lot to me. It means a lot. So thank you, Marissa. As a father and as God as Father, it's really important for us to be able to make that connection with who He is in that aspect. And unfortunately, a lot of times our connection to God as Father is distorted because our natural fathers, our earthly fathers, aren't there. They aren't good. They don't know how to tell you they love you. They don't know how to encourage you. They don't know how to be there for you. And we get cheated out of being connected to Father God in a way, because when we say those words, all we can come up with is the image of our Father. My father passed away when I was 14, and I had a lot of good memories from him, but also, like, I didn't have my dad there when I needed him to tell me who I was. and to tell me that I'm strong and I'm capable and I'm enough. And so I'm just going to jump right in. I have permission. As a father, I'm sorry for where I misrepresented the heart of God, where I didn't know how to be a father to you and how to love you exactly where you're at and to tell you that you're enough. I'm sorry that as a father, I wasn't able to be who you needed me to be. I was doing my best, but I still didn't know how to do it. I'm sorry. And this is the harder part of, will you forgive me for failing you as a father? You don't have to answer out loud. Thank you. Is that you that says that? What's your name? Rebecca? Huh. Since you said out loud, I'm going to embarrass you a little bit more. Rebecca, I'm proud of you. That even though your father was trying his hardest, was doing his best, but didn't know how to love you. I'm proud that you're able to recognize that, to forgive, and to move on. Thank you for that. That is a huge gift to us. Is this your little one also? Okay. It's a huge gift too. Thank you for taking a step of faith and saying yes to hard. It's not easy. Because we get hurt and we're like, I'm justified in holding on to my hurt because they did this, this, and this. But that's not who God as a father is. I'm going to read this portion of Scripture, Ephesians 3. 14 through 21, I'm going to read the whole thing. This is Paul. Just as a nerd, I'm a little bit of a nerd sometimes. The book of Ephesians, in some of the manuscripts, it actually doesn't say that it's to the Ephesians. It could be that this letter was kind of the only word I can think of is a manifesto of like, this is how we live as Christians. This is how we relate to each other. So even though in most of our Bibles it does say to the Ephesians, it could have just been a letter to the region, not to a specific church. And the reason why that's important is because it's not just, if I say this is a letter to Jeremy, you can pick up some keys from it, but it's not really a letter to you, it's a letter to Jeremy. But if I say this is a letter to Generation Church, anyone who comes in can pick it up. This is a letter to Christians, so anyone can pick this up. Paul, for this reason I bow my knees before the Father, from whom every family in heaven and on earth is named, that according to the riches of his glory he may grant you to be strengthened with power through his Spirit in your inner being, so that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith, that you, being rooted and grounded in love, may have the strength to comprehend with all the saints what is the breadth and length and height and depth, and to know the love of Christ that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled with all the fullness of God. Now to him who is able to do far more abundantly than all that we ask or think, according to the power at work within us, to him be glory in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations, forever and ever. Amen. For this reason I bow my knees before the Father. A father, this word that they use for father, it literally means a nourisher, a protector, and an upholder. The hard part about being a son and being a daughter is there are a lot of times you don't know what it is that you need for life. You don't know what food it is you need to consume. If I left it to my boys, they would eat nothing but candy all the time. That's not exactly the food that they need to grow strong. And for us, it's not that God the Father is saying, it is time for you to eat a Big Mac. But it's life. It's life circumstances. This thing that's happened to you where you build a life based on the things that happen around you. You know, one of the challenges of communication is I can say a word and you can say the same word, but even though it's the same word, there's different pictures that we have inside our head of what that word means. You can say the word father, and to one person it means this, it means you're always at my games, you're always loud. And to another one, the picture of father is he's not there. I can say, this is the best car in the world. And some people have an image of a Camaro. And some people have the image of an F-150. The beauty of life is that when you have different images of what it looks like to do life, is actually learning to communicate that so that way you could build something together. I have an image of what our household should look like, and my wife has an image of what our household should look like. I have an image of what a clean house looks like. She has a completely different idea of what a clean house looks like. And if we argue, which we may have had a couple words about this, of why don't you ever clean the house? I'm like, there's not trash everywhere, it's clean. She's like, yeah, but have you smelled the house? We've got boys living at the house. Oh, that's what you mean by clean. For us to build a life together, we have to communicate our images of what life looks like and then work together to make that happen. As a nourisher, he's not just telling you this is how your life is supposed to be, because if he says that if he says that you're supposed to do all these things, that you're supposed to witness everywhere you go, to one person, to one of my friends, his idea of witnessing or sharing the gospel is to go grab the microphone at Walmart and start telling people how good God is. And then I leave. To me, the idea of sharing the gospel or witnessing is, I want to do life with somebody. I don't know what I need for my life to thrive. Father does. So we have to communicate and what that looks like. Like I said, I grew up in Soper, Oklahoma. We were a very small school at the time. I think they're still pretty small. I graduated high school with 18 people. And that was the biggest class in a long time. How many did you graduate with, babe? Do you know? Only 64, okay. Oh, yeah, you went to a small Christian school in California, too, yeah. Yeah. My son just graduated 8th grade with 60 people. I'm like, that's a lot of people. Not really. So we were so small we didn't have football. Sorry, we only had baseball and basketball, not real sports. But we played 2 seasons of baseball, fall and spring baseball. And so we were really good. And so I personally, from my sophomore year through my senior year, we went to 6 straight state tournaments. And the big thing is, when you leave Soper to come up to the big city of the city, Oklahoma City, you got to stop somewhere nice to eat. And it usually is a buffet when there's like 20 teenage boys. And so my senior year, we were going to the state tournament, and we stopped at a buffet. I think it was Sizzler, Western Sizzler. Anyway, so we went to the buffet. Everyone got their big plates of food piled high, of course, because we've never eaten before. We've never seen food before, so we had to pile there's scarcity, so, literally 6 to 8 inches high on everyone's plate. So one of our freshmen He went and sat his food down and went back for more. Went and got a little dessert plate and filled it full of butter. Okay? He didn't have any rolls or anything with it. Like, it was meat and then butter. And so a couple of us who were seniors looking at him like, he's weird. What are you doing? And he sat down, and the first thing he did is grab his spoon and get a big spoonful. And right before he put it in his mouth, we're like, Jeremy, do you like butter that much? And of course, he's very country. And butter? I thought that was Nana pudding. And I really regretted stopping him. He thought what he was eating was something delicious. And it is delicious, but only on something else, not by itself. I know what I think I need, but I really don't know what I need. You build life not with the things that go right, but with how you accomplish things when it doesn't go right. It's easy to live in faith if you are in a monastery because you don't talk with anyone else. It's so much harder to live in faith when there are bad things that are happening around you. He's a nourisher. He gives us life. And sometimes he takes the things that were meant for evil and he turns them into good. Sometimes he takes the things that were trying to take you out and says, oh, that's a cool story. Here's the real truth. He's also a protector. Protection is something that I love. I'm the security staff manager at Bethel. So my job is to try to make sure everyone stays safe, and of course that's impossible. I have the numbers here, but I'm not going to go through them. But my wife wants me to go through them because it's interesting. Okay, all right. So Bethel Church. So the Bethel Security Group, which is us, we have through church. There's 3,000 to 5,000 people who come through every weekend. Kids church, there's 5,000 to 6,000. Oh, and that's only in the main sanctuaries. Kids church, there's 500 to 600 kids every weekend. Bethel School Supernatural Ministry, there's about 1,200 students that are on campus on a couple different of our campuses. Bethel Christian School, it's a K through 8 school. We have almost 400 students there. Conferences, we have about 7,000 to 10,000 people who will come to Bethel for conferences every year. Kids Camp, which is happening this week, they have 220 kids registered. 24 of them have never been inside a church at all, come from a lot of them are homeless. Young Saints, which is our youth ministry, there's about 380 kids every week. Young Adults Tribe, there's about 150 people who come to that every week. We have 12 different properties, including one of them is our new campus that we're building, which is about a $100 million project, and there's construction equipment that we're responsible for. So a little bit that goes on. And also the other side of the story is not just the people, but also because of our leaders, we also have celebrities, musicians, artists, governors, politicians, bigger names that you would know if I mentioned they come to Bethel also. And of course they're trying to fly under the radar, but it's like, oh, okay, here we go. This is another thing that I've got to get going on. In one day, early morning, I helped a kindergartner out who had choked on some wood chips. I intervened in a domestic dispute between two individuals who are unhoused or homeless. And I escorted a governor to go meet with some of our leaders at the same day within 8 hours. Things never stay the same at Bethel. But even though I love what I do, it's impossible to protect everyone from everything at all times. as a protector, is it possible for God to keep anything bad from happening? Yes. But why does bad still happen? People choose it. How is he always my protector when bad's happening? The most important thing for me as security is my job is to be present and to use my voice. My presence is there because I'm not just watching, but I'm also going to be able to intervene. Your Father, who's a protector, is there in your life at all times. He is present, and his voice will speak. The song we were singing in the chorus, it wasn't just he's our refuge, but also help my heart to hear your heart. I want to hear you in the midst of the storm. I want you to be here in the midst of my storm. He is your protector, even if bad stuff happens. He is there for you. He loves you. And he's also an upholder. He will be there for you to give you strength and guidance. He will be there for you to lift up your head when you don't feel like you're enough. He's there to help you understand that you're incredible. Most of us, not everyone, but most of us, the way we think of and speak about ourselves to ourselves, we would never speak about anyone else that way. Some of that's you, and some of that's the accuser, the enemy. The enemy does not want you to know who you are. The upholder does. He wants you to, the enemy wants you to look down. But God is the lifter of our heads. It is not arrogance to say, I'm incredible, because you are made in the image of God. Because of my position at Bethel, I've been able to walk beside some of our leaders through some pretty intense stuff, and be in the room or be around them. And our leader, Bill Johnson, he has people who are accusing him of things all the time. Weird stuff. Like theology weird stuff. Like we don't know. But the beautiful thing is, while people will say you're a heretic, this is a false teacher, he doesn't love God, he's only about himself, I have literally never heard him say anything bad about anyone at any time. And I happened to be in the room when somebody asked him, why don't you, like this preacher just called you out, saying that you worship the devil. But then I heard you in communion praying for that person. Why? And he said, even though I don't agree with him, and I may not think he's living this way, but he's made in the image of God. And I'm not going to talk bad about God's image. Even though you face stuff, you're still made in the image of God. That has not distorted the image. You may be facing a lot of things. He still says, I'm proud of you. You're my son. You're my daughter. I love you. He upholds us. He gives us strength. He gives us guidance. He's there. He will not leave you. We just finished up at Bethel. We did the Braveco Men's Conference like no other conference, because it's a bunch of guys. They had a push-up contest the other day. They did tug of war in church. They raced around the building, all sorts of random stuff. We had some guys that instead of going to lunch, they decided to bring a little charcoal grill and grill in the back of their truck. Like, that doesn't happen at a women's conference. Like, no one's tailgating at a women's conference. And then a guy brought his bow and he got a target and was getting some shots in at a lunch break. I'm like, dude, you're at church. Like, what are you doing? It's funny. It doesn't happen in any other conference. But the most significant thing that we did, I'm going to embarrass my son again. He's also extremely sore because we did we called it a rite of passage, where a lot of men don't get their father saying, now you're a man. We took these kids out. There's 12 to 18-year-old. There's about 70 of them. And 500 guys were out there at 6 a.m. When conference doesn't start until 10, we were out there at 6 a.m. to cheer on these kids as they do a 3.1 mile run with 30 different obstacles. It was a mud run, so they'd climb up a berm and then they'd jump into mud. And then they'd run. Had a kid who, the first obstacle was A-frame. I think it was 30 feet tall, but it was all tires that were hanging there, so you had to climb up the tires. Had a kid with special needs, club feet, a couple other things, who on the way up, his shoes got caught in the tires, and so he lost both of his shoes. Very first obstacle. Another kid took off his shoes, gave them to him, and ran barefoot. They had to do all kinds of fun stuff. But at one point in time, they ran into the woods to do obstacles inside the woods. And it was a long race. And I was there at the beginning cheering on my son and several other people. And I got nervous because there was a long time where I didn't see Sam. He was in the woods, and I had no idea where he was at. I knew he was safe, but I'm like, also, sometimes when he runs, his heel hurts, and it gets pretty bad. And so all I'm imagining is my son is laying somewhere in the woods, and they're going to have to pick him up and carry him out, and I'm not there. And I got nervous. And it was probably 20 minutes that I hadn't seen him. And so I'm starting to walk into the woods because I'm like, okay, I've got to go find my son, even as kids are passing me. All right, I'm going to go find my son. And then I look up, right as I'm about to go into the woods, I look up and I see my son and his friend Noah running side by side. And I couldn't handle it because my son was strong enough when I didn't know if he was. I'm going to embarrass him so much. I know this is awesome. But all I could think of was, my son can do this. He's got what it takes. He's incredible. And a friend of mine sent me pictures of me as Sam is down in the mud pit, crawling through the mud because they got wires on top. Thankfully, not barbed wire or electric wire, but he's crawling through it. And I'm just bent over, yelling at him like, you can do this. I believe in you. I'm proud of you. And it is not a very flattering picture of me that he sent me. But all I can think of is, my son is incredible. And I say that to say this. If I, being an earthly father, who has frailties and weaknesses, who is not a perfect father, if I feel that way about him crawling through mud, knowing he could check out, they had to do a walk across telephone poles. There's a water pit underneath them. These telephone poles were muddy because kids been there's before him. There's probably 50 kids that had crossed this, so it's all muddy. And as he's crossing, he slips and falls off. Doesn't get hurt, thank God. But then gets back up. and falls off again. And you could see the moment in his head where he was getting ready to quit. Because let's just walk through. I don't have to get back up on. I'm still going through the mud. Cool. But he saw somebody else doing it, so he hiked his leg over, and I thought he was going to crawl across the log. That's probably what I would have done if I even tried it. But then he stands up and makes it across the log. Yes, I'm proud of him. But how much more is your Father proud of you? When you faced death and you didn't die. When you faced destruction and you didn't stop. When you faced a tornado and you were there present for your kids. When you had to rebuild when things got destroyed. When you had to start over when people left you. How much more is your Father proud of you than crossing a muddy pit? How much more?